Very good morning, students. I am Dr. Senthil Kumar from SNS College of Technology, Coimbatore. Let me present a topic on engine cooling for the course Heat Power Engineering for 5th semester Agriculture Engineering. And we want to know why we are going for engine cooling. In SI engines, cooling must be satisfaction to avoid pre-ignition and knock. In compression ignition engines, since a normal combustion is aided, cooling must be sufficient to allow the parts to operate properly. In short, cooling is a matter of equalization of internal temperature to prevent local overheating as well as to remove the sufficient heat energy to maintain a practical overall working temperature. That means in the word we are saying that it is engine cooling. It doesn't mean that we are cooling the engine. The thing is that we are maintaining the temperature of the engine. And now comes the reason for cooling. Why we are going for cooling of the engine? To promote a high volumetric of efficiency, to ensure proper combustion and to ensure the mechanical operation and reliability, we are going for this engine cooling. And the effects of overcooling, when the engine becomes overcooled, what is the drawback and what is getting happened, we should know. The thermal efficiency is decreased. The coolant due to when it is more loss of heat carried out by the coolant. The vaporization of fuel is less, resulting in low combustion of efficiency. Low temperature increases the viscosity of the lubricant, which causes more loss. These are the more loss due to friction. These are the reasons why we are going for engine cooling. And let us see what are all the types of cooling system. Air cooling system and liquid cooling system are the two main types of engine cooling. In case of air cooling, we are saying in the other term it is the direct cooling system, and in case of liquid cooling, we are saying it is the indirect cooling system. Aviation engines, motorcycles engines and scooters are the air cooled. That means mainly in case of two-wheelers, we are going for the air cooling system, and in case of heavy vehicles, in case of car, lorries, tractors, buses, etc., we are going for liquid cooling system. And let us see what is my air cooling system. Air cooling engines depend on the airflow between across the external surface of the engine cylinders to remove the necessary heat. The amount of heat dissipated depends upon the area of cooling surfaces in contact with the air, mass flow rate of the air, the temperature difference between the cylinder and the air, as well as the conductivity of the material. Let us see this is the how the air cooling is taking place. Cooling of air cooling system. In the diagram it is shown a fin system of an engine. This is normally we can see in case of a two-wheeler. That means when the vehicle is of moving, more amount of air is made to reach the engine. So that the air, when it is made to hit on the engine, it takes the heat which is dissipated outside, thereby the engine gets cooled. The area of cooling system is increased by forming thin fins, either integral by machining them or they are on the outer walls of the engine cylinder and cylinder head, or by attaching separate fins to them. Either it may be in two cases. These are the advantages of air cooling. The absence of radiator, cooling system, jackets, coolant pumps, etc. Also, it is lighter in weight while comparing to the water cooling or the liquid cooling. Engine can be operated in a cold climate where liquid may freeze. In places where water is difficult to obtain, air cooled engines have in the coolant leakage or the freezing problem. These things can be avoided in case of air cooled system. And air cooling, the main disadvantages are that relatively larger amount of power is used to drive the cooling fan. Engine gives a lower power output, and the cooling fins under certain conditions may vibrate and amplify the noise level. That means at the time of operating of the engines, there is more chances for getting the more sound due to vibrations. Cooling is not uniform. As I said, the engine is to be subjected to atmospheric air, but it is not possible in practical. Engines are subjected to high working temperature. And next to say about the liquid cooling system, the types, let us see. These are all the various types of liquid cooling system, that is direct or non-return system, thermosiphon system, forced circulation system, cooling system, as well as the evaporative cooling system. Out of these four system of liquid cooling system, the third, that is forced circulation cooling system, is mainly used in case of all automobiles, either in case of tractors, cars, bus, lorries, etc. And you can see this direct or non-return system. It is the heat released from the combustion of air fuel mixture is transferred in all directions to the walls of the combustion chamber, cylinder and piston by direct radiation by convection current of gas rubbing against a stationary gas film and then by conduction through the stagnant boundary layer of gases and oil film do the metal work. And to save the thermosiphon system, there will be cooling fan. In this system, a fan rotated by the crankshaft draws air from outside through the radiator. That means outside atmospheric air will be drawn inside using this cooling fan. The radiator is connected to the engine block by means of two pipes. The hot water passes through some thin pipes built in the radiator where it gets cooled. Thus, the fluid circulates through the system in form of convective currents. The main difference between this thermosiphon as well as this forced circulation cooling system is that pump will be available in case of this forced circulation, because from the name itself we can come to an idea why it is called as forced. The system is used in large number of vehicles like cars, buses, trucks and other heavy vehicles, and circulation of water takes place with convection currents held by means of a pump. That means a pump will be provided or it will be fitted between the radiator as well as the engine. Water or coolant is circulated through jackets around the parts of the engine to be cooled and is kept in motion at a centrifugal pump driven by the engine. A thermostat is used to control the water temperature required for cooling. And pump cooling or forced cooling is the last method. Pump is introduced between radiator and engine block, rotated by means of a crankshaft by means of a belt. Water is circulated with force, that is, heat is removed quickly, and there are certain limitations. That is, cooling is independent of temperature. Engine is overcooled, range of the temperature is 75 to 90 degrees Celsius. It can be overcome by means of this situation. And last type is the evaporative cooling system, in which in this system the engine will be cooled because of the evaporation of water in the engine jackets into steams. The advantages is being taken from the latent heat of vaporization. We know that means from the liquid to conversion to the vapor, what is the minimum heat that is required for conversion of liquid into vapor? That we used to say it is the latent heat of vaporization of water by allowing it to evaporate in the cylinder jackets. This system is used for cooling of the main type of industrial engines. And these are the parts of the engine cooling system. This is a radiator, which is the part which is supplied, rejects the coolant, heat to the surrounding air. It is the main purpose of this radiator. Disperse the heated coolant into the steam so that small quantity of coolant are brought in contact with the large metal surface areas, which in turn cooled by the air steam. There are two types of radiator. One is a down flow type as well as the cross flow type. Availability of space dictates the choice of radiator. Both are equally efficient. Various types of radiators cores are used for cooling the water. These are the various cores. That is a honeycomb block type core, film type radiator core, then the tube and fin type core, as well as the tube and corrugated type core. These are the various types of radiator core, and these are the metals used for radiator. Good corrosion, it should be a good corrosion resistance, good thermal conductivity, must possess the required strength. Yellow brass, copper are generally used. Solder can be used for repair. Aluminum is used where weight is critical. And these are all the thermostat. What we said, it is used for maintaining the temperature. And the cooling fan, which allows the air to come inside to the engine cylinder. It is driven by means of the crankshaft. And this shows the diagram of the cooling fan of the engine. And to save the advantages of the liquid cooling system, because of even cooling of cylinder, barrel and head of the cylinder, it makes it possible to reduce the cylinder head as well as the wall seat temperature. The volumetric efficiency of water-cooled engines is higher than comparing with the air-cooled engines. compact design of engine with appreciable small frontal area is possible in case of this liquid cooling. In case of water cooled engines, either it may be a liquid cooling or water cooling, both are same. Installation is not necessary at the front of the mobile vehicles, aircraft, etc. as the cooling system can be conveniently located. It is possible to locate this cooling system at any part of the engine, any part of the automobile. And to save the disadvantages of this liquid cooling system, the system requires more maintenance as there are more number of parts that is available in case of this liquid cooling. It needs more maintenance. The engine performance becomes sensitive to climatic conditions because we are using the coolant in case of this liquid cooling system. So depending upon the temperature, it will be reacting. The power absorbed by the pump is considerable and affects the power output of the engine. In the event of failure of cooling system, serious damage may cause to the engine. So that we are using the coolants, it may leads to freezing of the coolants. So let us see about the use of antifreezes. That means in case of cold countries, the coolants that we are using in case of this liquid cooling system have the chances for getting freeze. So it is necessary for us to go for using of these antifreezes. During winter or when the engine is kept out of operation in cold places, the cooling water in the cylinder jackets, radiators, tanks as well as the leading pipes will freeze, expand and lead to this failure of these pipes. To prevent the damage of the engine and the radiator during the winter weather, suitable liquids or common substances which go into solution are added to water to lower the freezing temperature of the coolant. So mainly we are using this ethylene glycol is the most widely used automobile cooling system. Antifreeze, although methanol, ethanol, isopropyl alcohol and propyl alcohol are being used. These are the various antifreeze elements that is being used, but mainly we are using this ethylene alcohol. So to save the requirements of these antifreezes, they should be thoroughly mixed with water. There should be not corrosive surface with which they are in contact. Their boiling point should be high so that the losses to evaporation is to be minimum. They should not deposit any foreign matters in the jackets, hose pipes as well as the radiators. You should be chemically stable, a good conductor of heat and a poor conductor of electricity. So these are all the properties of the antifreeze solutions, that is ethylene glycol followed by the propylene glycol. And this comparison is given in this chart, and the lubrication oil as well as the coolant. Because there are the two systems in case of an automobile, either it may be a lubrication system or a coolant system. Lubrication system is used for making the moving parts, lubricating the moving parts so that to reduce the friction as well as the wear and tear of the moving parts. The cooling system is mainly meant for cooling of the engine parts. Let us see how the lubricating oil can be effectively used as a coolant. Lubricating oil used in an engine also helps to cool the engine. The hotter parts like piston face and back surface of piston crown is subjected to oil flow, usually done by spraying the oil by pressurized system or by splash in non-pressurized system. Other components like camshaft and connecting rods also cooled by oil circulating through oil passages. And let us come to a conclusion. A cooling system must be provided not only to prevent the damage of the vital parts of the engine, but the temperature of these components must be maintained within a certain limits in order to obtain the maximum performance from the engine. That means when the temperature is maintained at the optimum level, then only it is possible to get the optimum performance of the engine. To keep the cylinder from overheating, they are surrounded with the water jackets or liquid cooling system or with a finned surface in case of a air-cooled engines. Most small and medium-sized engines used in case of two-wheelers, automobiles, aircrafts are air-cooled, while the stationary and some automobile engines in case of cars, bus, trucks, tractors are in generally liquid-cooled. And to say a typical automobile cooling system comprises of a series of channels cast into engine blocks, engine heads surrounding the combustion chamber with circulating water or other coolant to carry away the excessive heat which is produced at the time of combustion. A radiator consisting of many small tubes equipped with a honeycomb of fins to radiate heat rapidly that receives and cools the hot liquid from the engine. a centrifugal type water pump to circulate the coolant, a thermostat that maintains a constant temperature by automatically varying the amount of coolant passing into the radiator, and a fan which draws the fresh air from the radiator. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you once again.